vault of horror is about to open. You will learn its terrifying secrets. If you dare.
Teacher.
Death lives in Tales from the Crypt. Who's next? Perhaps you?
I am from beyond. Listen, and all you desire will be yours. Welcome to Spider-Dan and the Secret Balls. Prepare for Prattle.
Choose a side in the Clone Wars.
Welcome to Prattle World. I am your host, the ever-amazing, ever-spectacular Spider-Dan. And in this podcast, I spotlight entertainment's best-kept secrets that a mainstream audience may find boring. And welcome to Clone Wars, where two similar pieces of media clash to be crowned champion. Two go in, and only one comes out. Ooh, and we've got a doozy. Hello, boils and ghouls. We are here to talk to classic Amicus Portmanteau horror anthology. So we're going down this tunnel again, and we're going to see which is best out of Tales of the Crypt and the Vault of Horror. And I have a sheer vault of horror. There's a lot of horrible things inside him and that come out of him as well, as I've experienced, as our trip to Malta has shown me the intense horror that I experienced during that stay. It's Dennis Whittle.
You bastard. You're never gonna let it lie, are you? Ever.
Never. That smell will never flee my nostrils.
I can't thank you enough for putting nappy rash cream on me.
Anytime. I don't think we've told that part of the story, have we, on the podcast before?
No.
I don't know. So Dennis was having some very intense kind of stomach cramps and problems when we went over to Malta, because we both decided to have a Burger King, and Boogalug's ear forgot his medicine. I didn't even know he had a problem with his stomach until we got there. And I felt really bad for Dennis. He was in tears, it was cramping, he was in a lot of pain. So I was like, right. Selfishly, I was like, well, I'm not going home. So let's see if we can fix Dennis. So I went down to the chemist and I went, right, what have you got? What do you need, Dennis? What can I get? And I left him there to kind of sleep it off. And I got in there and I asked for nappy rash cream because that's what Dennis asked for. So I didn't question it. I was just like, do you have this? And then the lady at the counter, so lovely, so helpful, started telling me how to apply it to Dennis's anus.
Yes, pull the legs back, but plenty on.
Apply to the affected area, and I was like, and she's like doing the fingers and everything, and I'm like, oh, this is, and I'm like, because I didn't want to tell her what the actual situation was.
It's actually a 40-year-old man.
Yeah, it was not a baby. It's not a toddler. It's someone who can apply this themselves and who will apply this themselves.
So I knew you wanted to do it, and you could see who I was missing.
I was just like, I was just chuckling. Like, we had so much fun on that excursion, that holiday, that working holiday.
Yes,
tears of laughter with Ian and
I just
everybody.
Remember that fart I did that you inhaled and had to go outside.
Good God, yeah, that's what I remember. That like. You apparently the sense of smell is like the worst. Like this is pure horror we're talking about now. The sense of smell is one of the things that keys into your memory quite well, and I can still smell that shit. I can still smell
it. It wasn't good. Yeah, I was in the toilet with it though.
I know.
And I had beers with Ron Mars and stuff.
Yeah, well, I wanted just because you hadn't slept and you were crying, you're in bits, and and I was like, you need your rest. So if I'm in the room, it's probably not going to happen. You know what I'm like? I'll talk your ear off, talk you to death. Anyway, enough of our personal portmanteau horror stories.
So we can call my anus the Vault of Horror.
That's what I was implying earlier. That's what I was implying. You see what I mean? Anyway,
to be back. It's been a while.
It's been a while. It's been a hot 5 minutes. We just finished our Grimfest one, so we're back talking some classic horror.
What we do best.
And luckily, we're both in the same country this time, and we have decent internet connection and no other issues in our way. This is just us doing what we do best. So we're going to compare some Amicus films. You're of the generation that probably watched Amicus films, because I'm not really. It wasn't really part of my TV experience or cinema going experience. So you have good memories of these films?
I saw them on TV, usually with Hammer. So they used to be like Hammer and Amicus, because Amicus was kind of like the bastard child of Hammer, but they did it their way. They didn't try really copying Hammer.
Yeah,
they did stuff their way, and the Portmanteau kind of way of doing things, which I quite like. I quite like that kind of serial, because if you don't like one, the next one's going to be brilliant or whatever. So it does go on really well. But I liked them. They got some really good cast members in everything.
Like I was going to say, like top tier, English acting talent. I watched Asylum the other day for the first time, and I really, really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I like Asylum.
I think the framing device is quite good as well. It's quite clever, and I like that. Yeah. I'm sure we'll talk about the framing devices in this as well.
Yeah. But it was always, I was late coming to Amicus, because I was very much into Hammer, very much into Dracula and Frankenstein and things like that. And I never really understood Amicus. I never understood what it was about until I read some comics, and I went, oh, light bulb came on. They're the same thing.
Well, these ones are based on those classic EC comics that caused comics to be cancelled.
Yeah, I know. Cancelled.
Back in the day.
I think now Amicus stands a lot more on its own, as its ontthing, instead of constantly being compared to Hammer. It's taken a while. And it was basically two guys in a shed who kind of put it all together, which is phenomenal with the quality of what came out of that shed. But no, I do enjoy them. Like I said, I love Asylum. I think Asylum is one of my favorite pieces from them, but I do like Portmanteau. I do like that on pretty much any kind of movie. I do like anthology series.
Me too. I think for me, like you, we like our short form kind of horror stories, or short form. Like obviously you talked about the shorts in the previous podcast about Grimfest, and how much you love them, and how much it kind of gets to the point. It goes right, set up, inciting incident, finale. It gets to the point. You don't. It's not a lot of there's a lot of films, like horror films, shit horror films, which are just really long, boring, uninteresting. They don't hold any tension. There's like Halloween's a good example of being able to hold tension and not do very much. And there's a lot of shit versions of that, just with loads of padding and long scenes. And I'd rather kind of them cut to the chase sometimes,
Yeah, and also with some movies, you're waiting for that payoff, and if it doesn't come, it's like I've just wasted 2 hours of my life.
Exactly, yeah.
But with a short or kind of like an anthology, the punchline's there, and some of them are really, really short, and they've got to grab your attention very, very quickly. And that's what I like about these sort of movies. And I've watched, we both watched loads of kind of anthologies.
Sure.
And I also like anthologies in book form and comics, again, for the same sort of reason.
Yeah, no, I agree. I will much rather read a collection of short stories like Robert E. Howard or H.P. Lovecraft, because it's just like I can get what I want out of it in a short amount of time. Again, I'm not really into TV, because even though it is a short form media, really, they're very long, and I could get the same amount of feeling and enjoyment out of just a film, instead of 8 series of Game of Thrones and then being disappointed at the end. You know what I mean? It's the exact same problem.
And also from my perspective, I don't have to then explain a 2-hour movie to Sarah, because only like 10, 15 minutes, 10, 12 minutes, she gets it. So I don't have to then explain, this is what's happened there, that's that, and that's that. And do you remember right at the beginning when this was said?
But yeah, and again, like I think that's the simplicity of it is also its strength as well. Like it's very straightforward. There's not many twists and turns, and weird writing going off on tangents and stuff. I couldn't agree more.
And there's not many of these sort of anthology which have then been turned into a feature length that has been as good or as entertaining, because there's too much padding then.
Yeah, exactly. Well, before we get started, just as usual, as you know, Dennis, you've done this before, we're going to go over the reasons for comparison. Now, on our Discord with the Comics in Motion boys and girls that I'm involved with and adjacent to that group, one of the 20th Century Geek was like, I don't think there's much reason to call them clones. And I was like, I think there is. He's like, no, I think it's just the Amicus. It's just a sign and staple of the Amicus, the films, of the anthology films. I was like, fair point. But here's my list of comparisons and reasons for comparison. Here we go. Both films were produced by Amicus Productions. Both released a year apart. Both based on stories from and named after two of EC Comics' most popular horror anthology titles. Both directors, Freddie Francis and Roy Ward Baker, had previously directed horror anthology films and would go on to do more. Both feature a similar framing device that breaks the fourth wall, along with 5 story segments in each. Both screenplays were written by Milton Subotsky. Both films were produced by Subotsky, Charles W. Fries, Max Rosenberg. Both films were composed by Douglas Gamley. Both films have the same casting director, makeup artist, art director, production manager. Are you getting my point now, Scott? Etc. The sets from Tales from the Crypt were redressed and used again for Vault. And in the US, Vault was released as Tales from the Crypt 2. So I think there's enough reasons for comparison there. I don't know about you, Dennis.
Well, also, it's the only Amicus movies that when you buy the DVD, you get them both.
Boom! They've been double packaged. Yeah,
they've been double packaged. You don't tend to buy them singly; you buy them together. All the rest you can buy singly or as one big collection.
There you go.
You can go out and buy Tales from the Crypt. You get Vault of Horror with it.
See, there's even more reasons for comparison. So there we go. Well, let's get started with Tales from the Crypt. So, Dennis, why don't you tell us a little bit about Tales from the Crypt, very briefly?
Tales from the Crypt, it's basically a bunch of people go have a little stroll, formally dressed, which I don't really understand.
Very smart, very debonair.
Yes, for a tour around the crypt.
A dirty old crypt.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but when I go to that sort of tour, I don't wear like a 3-piece suit. I kind of wear my trainers. But anyway, so they go into this room. The door shuts behind them. There's some seats set up for them, and then should we call him the Crypt Keeper?
Let's call him the Crypt Keeper. Crypt Keeper. I'm pretty sure that's how he's titled.
Yes. Then speaks to them individually about themselves. I don't want to say too much because we'll talk about the
again.
It's kind of, it's like what could have been, this is your personal.
What is? This is what you could do. He's very vague about everything.
Yeah, and there's a few kind of like nods to the outcome of them as they're walking down, which is quite cool. And there's only one woman,
Joan Collins.
Yeah,
Joan Collins. But again, we'll get into that. But yes. So the Crypt Keeper is not the classic kind of famous Crypt Keeper.
He's like a monk, isn't he?
Yeah, like he's kind of it's Ralph Richardson, isn't it? Who plays him? Who's obviously a very classically trained actor and in a lot of things, including Time Bandits and Dragon Slayer. And he it's a very very cold, very like not matron. I don't know what I like to go matron.
It's more thespian, isn't it?
Yeah, it's more like Grim Reaper.
It's like, it was the salmon moose.
Anyway, yeah. So it's not if you're famous with the is it John Cassier? I think it's John Cassier who played the American one, because obviously Americans love this and they love the EC Comics. In Robert Zemeckis and all those other guys, Richard Donner produced the TV show, which is more popular and more well-known, and they've got their own set of films as well, based on the kind of EC Comics as well, like Demon Knight and Bordello of Blood. So we get a very kind of dour, kind of monk, very depressing kind of character. So it's not the goofy humor, the laugh a minute.
No.
You know,
it sounds silly, but it feels cold where they are as well. The atmosphere feels a little bit nippy, shall we say?
Bit chilly.
A bit chilly, which is,
now,
I think that's because everything's grey, isn't it? So it's always a crypt, everything's grey, and I like that.
Yeah, so let's get on to the first installment. So it is All Through the House. So each of the installments has its own name. So All Through the House. So tell us a little bit about this one, because this could fit right in to my Alternativity Stories season, but it's not going to, because we're doing it here. But tell us a little bit about this one.
The lady of the group, Joan Collins, lives in a massive house, got a daughter, got a nice husband. Nice, we think, because he doesn't last that long.
No. Spoilers, by the way. If you know this show, we pretty much go headlong into spoilers without saying
it's
we're going to.
1972. Come on, guys, go and watch it.
These films are heavily available on YouTube as well, so just go and Google and you'll find it.
For some reason, she kills the husband. It's never really explained why she kills the husband, but she does. But it's quite a good scene. It's on back of the head, blood on the newspaper, on the white carpet. I might add.
White fur carpet. I love before he gets killed. He's a bit tipsy. It's Christmas, you got carols singing, and he puts the present down for his wife, and he's like, "To the most beautiful wife in the world, signed from me with a little kiss."
Yes,
it's like. And again, you can read this on the screen, so I don't know why we're getting the silly voiceover. Signed with a little kiss.
Because there's a few things about that we'll get into, which just... Is it a spontaneous kill, or has she planned it? Because if she's planned it, she's shit.
She's shockingly shit at this.
Really, really does need to go back to the planning stage. So throughout her trying to kind of cover it up, shall we say, her radio's on, and the news, the music's interrupted, and explaining that somebody has escaped. A homicidal maniac is described as, dressed as Father Christmas.
I love how sensitive they are about describing people with mental health issues.
Yeah.
A homicidal maniac.
Yes, a homicidal maniac.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Yes.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Throughout this, a daughter, I think, is called Karen, remember rightly? She's running up instead. Karen's excited about Christmas, wanting to see Father Christmas. She's all giddy, while Joan Collins' character is running around trying to clean things up. And there was absolutely no way on God's green earth is she getting rid of that blood from that white, furry, matte thing that she was. It was. And what is it with the glass?
She fills the glass up. She's like, "Well, I'll drink this later.
Yeah,
save this for later."
It's bizarre. And then throwing things into the fire, that won't burn. Or if they do burn, they'll send out some sort of toxic into the atmosphere, and she'll probably pass out. Anyway, the story then starts evolving around her panicking about. One, hiding the body, getting away with that, stopping this homicidal maniac Father Christmas, and also keeping a daughter from coming downstairs, seeing her dead dad. Basically, her running backwards and forwards to kind of like the climax of the movie, which, Dan, you can give away the end of the movie if you want to.
I can. So this was based, again, on a very famous, probably one of the most popular EC Comics stories. And again, same name. And yes, so she's panicking. She's trying to cover up the murder. She's stopping the kid from waking up. She's, haphazardly trying to cover all this murder up and like, I'll put his body here and do this. And it's like she's having to think about on three different levels, because she's seen the Santa outside, so she's locking the doors. But then she's like, the body can be seen from the window, all this other stuff. And eventually we realize that the daughter's got up and was so keen to see Santa, she's actually let him in, the homicidal maniac, and then strangles Joan Collins in the fireplace.
Yes. You see, for me, there were certain things that stand out. I've never seen a room, apart from in hospital, looking so white. It's a very, very white room to smack somebody over the head and bleed. It's almost the weirdest phone in the world she picks up to try to dial the police and then decides against it.
It's the 70s.
It's bizarre. The fact this homicidal maniac, Father Christmas, looks like Father Christmas after one too many sherries.
He looks like, when you get those, I've seen recently, because we just had Easter just gone, and they have all these old photos of rabbit costumes and bunny costumes.
Yeah.
And they're all like really disturbing. It's like one of those where it's like, really disturbed looking Santas. He's got the kids on the lap and they're crying. It's one of those. And Yeah, it's good. He does look a bit dirty. He looks a bit dirty.
He looks a bit grubby, doesn't he?
It looks like he's been down the mines.
Aye, and the present's a nice brooch, isn't it? A nice shiny brooch that she has on when she's going into the crypt to start off with. You know, little link there, little link,
little visual cue.
I liked it, and it does just start again, like we say about short movies. It's on the button straight away. You know, it's ding, ding, ding. Ding ding, doesn't slow down. You don't take your breath with it.
No, you get the notes of the Christmas song, whatever it is, whichever hymn or carol it is. You get him going, sign with a little kiss, you know, and then he gets hit over the head straight away. You're like, right, okay, she hates him for whatever reason. Doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter though, does it? It doesn't. No. You don't need any more. You don't need everything being bloody explained. No. They did adapt this for the TV show as well. I was saying. And I think it might be a little bit better in the TV show. It was directed by Robert Zemeckis of Back to the Future fame. She tries to poison the husband first, and that doesn't work. And then she hits him over the head, and then she's trying to dispose of the body down a well. And there's a bit more kind of stuff going on because obviously it's a bit longer, so you have to stretch it out a little bit. So you add a bit more depth. And I think you find out why she wants the. I think it is because she wants the. Life insurance. I think that seems to crop up a lot in these. Everyone's trying to get life insurance. Like, how much is your life literally worth? Is it they've got that guy, that the ITV show's on at the moment, isn't it? The guy who goes off in his canoe and dies supposedly, but actually lives next door. Guy in the canoe. So it does happen for real, guys. It does happen. These portmanteau morality plays. But yeah, let's talk about the next one because we've got a lot of these segments to talk about. So reflection of death. So typical 70s. You've got a bloke cheating on his wife, basically going to swan off with this new love interest, this beautiful, dark raven-haired love goddess, whatever you want to call her. And he kind of falls asleep in the car, wakes up, and they have a horrible car accident. I don't know because it's while she's driving, isn't it? So I don't know if that was kind of like because there is some problematic stuff in these films, and I was kind of like maybe it shouldn't have been the woman driving that caused the accident.
Yeah, because they swap because he's tired. She says, "Shall I drive?" And he's like, "Yeah, of course you can." And the minute she takes over, she crashes.
I don't know if that's, I mean, maybe I'm just reading too much into it, but that's kind of how it came across. It is quite a quick, segment. But he wakes up, he survives the crash, he wakes up and he's like, what's going on? Where am I? He's completely confused, confuddled. He's probably hit his head. I think we do see him hit his head or something. And they tumble down like this ravine. So he's climbing out the ravine. And then it's all basically from his point of view. So it's a very much a kind of Halloween type POV shot, which I quite enjoyed. And he's wandering around, and every time someone sees him, they're like, "Hey, stay away!" And he's like, "What are you doing? You're weird. Help me! I'm in trouble. I'm hurt." Obviously, he thinks he's like bleeding and gore all over him and stuff, and he just goes to see everybody. Goes to see his ex-wife or his current wife, and she's like, "Oh, Margaret, help me!" And she goes, "Oh." And she breaks down in tears, and there's another man in the room. And then he goes on quickly. She didn't waste any time, but apparently he goes into his adulteress's room or his lover's room, a flat, and she's now blind. And she says that the accident was over a year ago. You've been dead for 15 years. It's one of them. And he looks at again, we're still in the POV. So it's a bit unusual. And it's almost like, I don't know, it's odd that it's done like that, but I think it's quite effective actually when you get to the reveal, because he looks at the glass table, those classic kind of mirror tables, and then he sees that he's just this desiccated corpse, and it's not the last desiccated corpse we'll see in this particular film. But yeah, what did you think of this one?
It was okay. Yeah. I kind of liked it.
I didn't hate it.
No, I didn't hate it. It just, for me, dragged a little bit. And I would have definitely thrown in a joke about her being blind when she was driving, but that's just me. But yeah, it's kind of, you see it coming far too early for me, I think.
Yeah, a little bit. It's telegraphed a little.
Yeah, you know what it's going to be. The effects are quite good. The crash is spectacular. He leaves his very attractive wife for a very attractive woman and leaves his kids, the bastard.
He certainly does. But again, all of these are, like I said, are morality plays. They kind of go, if you are a poor person, a person of poor character, look at all this horrible shit that may well occur to you. If you're greedy, selfish.
None of the men in these movies, in any of them, are attractive. None of them. Yeah, I mean, women are stunning.
Yeah, but that's just
the time, isn't it? You know, like the Bond girls and stuff. They're all
Hammer horror. So yeah, I think that isn't there. Am I thinking there's a no? I'm thinking about Dr. Phibes I saw recently. This is his wife is a picture of Caroline Munro, but she's not actually in the film. And I was like, oh,
I love Caroline Munro.
I don't blame you. She's a very beautiful lady.
She gave me a hug when I was 19, and I may have kept hold of her a little bit too long.
Probably. Knowing you, Dennis.
And she helped Sarah get undressed in the toilet. She was trying to dress her.
Fair enough.
And then critiqued her. So she's
You look shit. You look shit, Sarah.
You look absolutely. Is that your husband out there? Oh, we can do better.
I'm sure Sarah appreciated the critique. I'm sure.
Ashley said she looked beautiful. And to be fair, she did.
Yeah.
She looked lovely.
She's lovely. But I thought it was fine. Again, it's not the strongest segment in this film, but there's something there. There's definitely some fun to be had with that. But I think maybe if it was a bit snappier, or maybe if somebody else maybe beforehand hadn't reacted so poorly, because I think I'd rather have someone trying to help him who is blind and doesn't know. And then everyone, he's like, why is everyone running away from you? I don't know. Something like that. Like that homeless man could have been blind, but like Frankenstein. Yeah. Frankenstein's got the blind old man. He doesn't really know, but he's friendly to him. So maybe that would have worked a bit better. But I thought it was fine. It was, again, it's not my favorite segment, but it'll do.
It goes into like a Groundhog Day, doesn't it? Because he wakes up after he sees his face, and he's screaming and stuff, and then the accident happens again. So it's
exactly. Yeah. So the waking up from the dream was actually his own fate, kind of cyclical. But yeah, I don't know if that needed to be in it either. I'm not sure if that was required.
He's being constantly punished for his adultery.
Oh, naughty adultery.
Constantly punished.
Adulterer. He's got his scarlet letter now. Big scarlet A on it.
He shouldn't be dipping his wick.
Ian Hendry. That was the actor, wasn't it? Ian Hendry.
Yes.
Yeah. He's also in Theatre of Blood. So check that out as well. Dr. Phibes and Theatre of Blood are both very fun films.
I can't say blood. I forgot blood. Anyway.
I don't drink wine.
Blood.
Anyway, what's the next segment, Dennis?
Poetic Justice.
Ooh, tell us about that one.
Oh, I love this one. This was brilliant.
With your mate, Peter Cushing.
Peter Cushing's in it. Robin Phillips is in it. And his dad, David something or other, I can't remember his surname. Very well off, live in this big house on a very posh street. And across the road is Grimsdyke.
Mr. Grimsdyke, yeah.
Grimsdyke, yes. Mr. Grimsdyke, who's a lovely, lovely man. His wife has died. He's a bin man. He kind of looks like he rescues kind of stray dogs. He's always making things for children. They go around and he tells them little stories and things. And just a generally nice guy. These days, the sort of person say, listen, love, stay away from him. But it's a different time. And he was a lovely man.
Yeah. There's no stories come out about Peter Cushing, thank God.
No, Peter Cushing's I love.
God.
But James Elliott, who the Robin Phillips character is, basically decides that his little house and these dogs and stuff are basically bringing down the tone of the neighborhood. And his dad said, well, he's paid his house, he's paid his mortgage, he's lived there for years, leave him be. There's nothing we can do about it. And James kind of goes, well, I disagree. I think we can do something about it. And then goes out of his way to have a smear campaign against him. So gets his dogs taken off him. And he's like, he comes on from work and the dogs have been taken away. He doesn't know why. Then he does go around to the parents of the children and basically doesn't say he's doing anything, but implies that, what's an old man doing with these children, blah, blah, blah. And even the children saying nothing. He just makes things for us. And he's lovely and this, that, and the other. And that breaks his heart. The fact he goes home, he's got no animals, is the children. He's saying, what can I do myself? I make these toys and things for them. Sits down, talks to his picture of his beloved who's passed away. Thinking, what can I do? And then
he gets the tarot cards out, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He gets the Ouija board. That's
and asks, give me a sign. Give me a sign, and it spells out danger. That's right. Is it danger?
I think so.
Then the next thing, which is the final insult, really, is a Valentine's Day card. So he comes home from work, and he gets him sacked from work because of the children things. So he has no job. Comes home, and he's got a stack of Valentine's Day cards. And he says, oh, this is nice. Opens up, they're pretty. But each one of them is like a poison pen letter, basically, saying he's grubby and he was doing this, and it's all poems and things. And basically says, you might as well not be here. Nobody wants you here. And then it flips to, a few days later, and no one's seen him around. No one's this, that, and the other. They go in, Mr. Elliot, what's I call him again? James Elliot, and his dad, and poor Peter Cushing's character has killed himself because of all this. And it's a really sad, and he plays it so well, Peter Cushing, and you really feel for him, because all he wants to do is just kind of do his work, come home, look after his dogs, do all that, and you can see the sadness in him when he's getting his last thing. I don't understand why this is happening to me. And it's a little bit heartbreaking when you see it, because he plays it really well.
Yeah.
But it doesn't end there, Daniel.
Dun, dun, dun.
So it then skips a year, and it's Valentine's Day again. And James Elliott's going through his drawer and finds leftover Valentine's Day cards. And he seems a bit remorseful, doesn't he? He's like, he says, I didn't do a good job. It's awful. Talks to his dad. His dad goes to bed. But then you see a hand in the grave of Peter Cushing's character, and he's come back a year later to the day. Am I building up tension here?
Yeah.
So he basically goes and sees Mr. Elliot. They're screaming, this, that, and the other, and the makeup's pretty cool on him as well.
Yeah.
He does look quite good as a zombie. And then Dad comes down in the morning. There's blood everywhere, but there's a piece of paper with some finger writing on it in Elliot's blood. And it says, "Happy Valentine's Day. You were mean and cruel right from the start. Now you really have no." And as his dad pulls the paper away, there's a heart there.
Oh, very My Bloody Valentine.
Yeah. So I think it's still beating, if I remember right. It still gets its last couple of dregs out of it. I loved it. I think this is like, because you really, really want Peter Cushing to fuck them up.
I think I agree. I think Peter Cushing is. I do still kind of think he is a little underrated as an actor. I know obviously he stuck to kind of the horror stuff, and he did a couple of Doctor Who films and some other things. But I think this is one of his best roles. He gets the character, he gets the sense of it. Apparently, it was a very small character until he took an interest in it, because he saw a lot of himself in it. Because obviously his wife had just passed away, and he was like, "Oh, I quite like this." So they built up that character, and I don't think you would have seen that in that section if not for that. I think it would have just stuck with the villainous characters. And again, I think because we spend so much time with Grimsdyke, the fate is so much more horrible.
Yeah.
Because you grow to love him and care for him. He's very nice. And I'll be honest, like it's a story that could easily happen today.
Yes.
It could easily work. It's timeless. People with greed, and people have agendas, and people can make up lies about people. And yeah, I thought it was really good. And this is the only kind of villainous character in this, or one of the people within the framing device that actually is remorseful. It is like, yeah, fucking hell, I was bad. I was evil.
And when the Crypt Keeper tells him, he says, I'm fine. I won't do anything. He goes, you will. And then shows him, because he's convinced that he's a nice guy. and he wouldn't do anything to hurt anybody. I don't think in his head he's thinking that he's going to kill himself. He thinks he's just going to move. Yeah,
he'll move, or he'll give up or do something.
Yeah.
I think when he does kill himself, he's like, oh shit, I've taken this too far. And even the dad, I don't think the dad's responsible, but he does let it happen.
Yeah, he doesn't stop it, does he?
No. And again, the implication of the paedophile thing is, obviously nowadays that's a lot more prevalent and a lot more, and again, they don't have to say it. They just kind of just go.
Because you get that little conversation between the mum saying, well, what did you do with our children in that house? And that's exactly it. That's all what needs to be said.
You get it instantly.
Yeah, a lot of it's really understated, but I think for me, Peter Cushing's an absolute star in this, and it is one of my favorites.
Steals the show. I think for me, it might be one of the best, if not the best segment, maybe second best segment for me. It's so strong. And again, Peter Cushing, we talked about your mate Christopher Lee, and we've not really talked about Mr. Cushing very much, but I've always enjoyed his work. I think he's got a very unique look, and he brings everything to the role, no matter what it's in, no matter if it's fucking garbage. If it's Biggles or something like that, he still brings his absolute fucking A game, regardless of what the subject is or what the quality of the film is.
He was very he's understated as a man. He used to spend time in just a cafe, I think in Dunstable, and just sit there and drink tea and look at the sea and look what's going on. And there's a little interview with him and Vincent Price about being typecast. And Peter Cushing and Vincent Price says the same sort of things. So as long as people are still enjoying these pictures, I'll keep on making them. But I do miss a nice cobbled street and a nice bit of fog. But that's the sort of person he is.
Classic.
And a very old castle with a squeaky door.
The creaky door. That's going to be the name of my horror film. The creaky door.
Good work.
Yeah, good work. I mean, it's been done enough, hasn't it? But yes. That's Poetic Justice is a good title for that one, I think.
Yeah.
But there you are. So next up is Wish You Were Here. Now, this is quite an interesting one because it's kind of a play on the monkey's paw. So obviously you get the monkey's paw, and every time you make a wish, one of the fingers goes. You can't make any further wishes, but it always comes with a price. Be careful what you wish for. So we have a very rich gentleman who's going bankrupt and borrowed money and used it to gamble or put it on stocks and shares, and it's all just gone to pot. And basically he's trying to sell off stuff and trying to recoup some of the money. And him and his wife are looking around going, oh, look at this thing and look at that thing. You remember this? Do you remember when we bought this? And it's like, oh yeah, very, very good. And then they look on this Chinese statuette and they find an inscribing. Somehow they make out that somehow it's in English as well. They're just like, oh yeah, it's all in English. Look at that.
The important bit's missing.
Yeah, as always. Yeah. But then the thing is, it's kind of a bit meta because they know the story of the monkey's paw and they're talking about it and they're describing it.
And he's against it, isn't he?
He doesn't go. He says, "Don't do it. Don't wish this. It's not going to work. It's not going to. It's silly. It's nonsense. It'll never work." And then it comes true. Like the first wish is that, we wish I had lots of money or something like that. And then he goes off and, and then he dies there's that great segment where he's driving and there's a motorcyclist behind him who is basically death. And he dies in the motor accident, and she claims his life insurance. Again, life insurance. Everybody get life insurance, if anything.
Don't get life insurance because you're gonna die.
You're gonna die. You're definitely gonna die. Or someone's gonna kill you. Your wife.
I didn't have the salmon moose. Sorry, go on.
Anyway,
every time you mention death,
salmon moose. That's our new term. That's our shorthand for death now. Even though death is a short word, we're going to say, he suffered a horrible salmon moose. you go. But yeah, she inherits the money off his death. The solicitor who's also a friend is involved, and now he's in on the thing, and he knows, and he's like, "Don't make another wish, you idiot! Don't do it." And again, the monkey's paw. They keep like hammering it home, but all the while they're trying to avoid this curse, this monkey's paw element. Because they're trying to smartly think their way out of it. They're like, "Oh, careful what you wish for." So it's like Homer in that Simpsons episode, which is again, Treehouse of Horror is a great anthology as well in the Simpsons, and he's like, he asks for the sandwich. I don't want any zombie turkeys. I don't want any this. That's quite like this in a way. But she says, I wish him back to life before the accident, because they're like, oh, if you wish him back, it's going to be a mess. It's not going to work because he is, he's not in one piece. Basically, is what they imply. You don't see it. And then they went, oh no, he didn't have the accident. He died before, so he had a heart attack. So he's had a heart attack. So they bring the body in, and then they're like, right, now I'll wish him back to life. And they wish him back to life, but he's full of embalming fluid, so he's writhing in pain, like, kill me, kill me. It's like the guy in RoboCop, kill me. And then she starts hacking away at him, quite brutal for like a 70s film. Quite. And there's lots of bits and buttons. There's a hand flopping about. He's sitting just near his face, and he's still screaming in pain. And she's like, "He's still alive, even though I've chopped him to bits." And it kind of just ends there. It's like, well, careful what you wish for.
Pretty much so, yeah. Be careful what you wish for.
So there you go.
Yeah.
What do you think of that one?
I liked it. I like the monkey paw stuff anyway.
Yeah.
Because I think we'd all like 3 wishes, but we'd all fuck it up.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
One way or the other.
Well, that's what it's designed for, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can't have a shortcut. It's all this thing.
Very literal as well, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
For what you say with it, but no, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good staging. I did like the salmon moose following him on the motorbike. I thought it was a
very Ghost Rider, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, which I quite liked. But no, I thought it was good. Again, the one thing about all these, I think the entire cast, no matter whether they're in it for 4 minutes or whether they're in the entire thing, is the absolute A game on every one of them.
I do think the acting is the strongest thing about both of these films. I think it's going to be a hard decision to choose between the two films in regards to the acting, because I think it is the cream of the crop of 70s acting English talent. And there you go. It's just brilliant. And the final one is probably the creepiest one, and it definitely has a little bit more room to breathe than some of the other segments.
I like this for all the wrong reasons. I'll be honest.
Let's hear it, Dennis. Let's hear Blind Alleys.
Blind Alleys. So there's an institute for blind men. A new guy takes over. Major William Rogers with his German Shepherd Shane. Normal
name for a dog.
Yeah. So he takes on this role. He has a little tour around, and there's one guy who's almost like the spokesman for everybody, and I cannot remember his name.
Patrick McGee, who's
Patrick McGee.
The quintessentially creepy old English guy.
My first take of this: they go up and he gets his meal, and it's really nice. Yeah, it's almost an assault course to get back to your table, and they're blind. So straight, what are you thinking? Oh,
well, I mean, assault course is quite apt because he's like an army drill sergeant, isn't he? So.
But you're thinking he's not going to get that meat and 2 veg back to his table, but he does anyway.
Dennis, I'm sighted and I'm that clumsy. Once I move a plate from the kitchen, I'm already spilling it. So it's like, I don't know. I don't know how they cope.
As I said to you before, they're like your mate Daredevil. They can actually see. Anyway, so
let's not go down that rabbit hole again.
So one of the things that the Major, who he likes to be referred to as the
Major Philip,
has decided that he's going to cut back on a few things because he's going to work within the budget that he has. This budget's never discussed, but he's going to work within the budget. So first thing he does is turn the heating off at night, which is a bit mean. And takes away any extra blankets.
All the while, it's not very blatant, but he is treating himself and his dog to the heat. They're getting everything that the blind people are not getting within this home. He is treating himself. He's
very much so
gorging on all the benefits that he has.
They're having a kind of weird stew thing. I think it's probably cabbage stew. And even like the cook is saying, I can't, this is all I can do. There's no seconds anymore because this is just basically it.
Yeah.
So he's basically starving them. He's freezing them. And there's one particular guy who gets a little bit poorly, coughing in the night, and it's cold. So McGee, is it McGee?
Yeah,
McGee goes to
McGee,
see
yeah.
Major to kind of say, listen, this is what's happening. And he basically dismisses it. But when he goes in to tell him about this, he's sat there, massive long table, glass of wine. The dog's having his leftover steak, and he's, I'm working within a budget. I'm working within a budget. Eventually, this guy dies of hypothermia, which we say, it probably will be, won't it? And the rest of the blind men, because it's Blind Men Institute, get a little bit annoyed at this. They get a little bit annoyed. And led by McGee, they basically kidnap Major, drag him to the basement, and lock him in a room. But what they've done before that, in the room next door, they've enticed his dog Shane. It's a weird. Every time I say
a weird name for a dog, Shane the dog.
Shane the dog.
Come here, Shane. Come here, Shane. Come
Yes.
on, good boy, Shane. Good boy, Shane. It's. I feel like he's going to be like a member of Boyzone coming up to me.
Yeah, it's weird. So they put Shane opposite. So the Major's in one area, Shane's in another area. These two little things, and then the blind guys build a maze, which is amazing. Because they're blind.
It is amazing. Blind leading the blind.
And I said to Dan after I watched it, goes, I'm quite handy. I know you're not as handy, but you can see.
I'm shit at most things, Dennis.
and I'll be perfectly honest, I couldn't have done that maze.
No.
No one hits the fingers. Nobody gets a splinter. Just get on with it. And they also, when the other orderly comes to have a look, they also managed to bundle him into another room. Using the wooden sticks with the white wooden sticks. But anyway, regardless.
The ingenuity of these characters is great.
It's great. So this goes on for a few days. Bang, you can see the light changing outside the window. He's basically saying, don't feed me. If you don't feed me, feed Shane. And the little hatch opens. He goes, oh, Shane will have some food soon enough.
What voice is that? That's not his voice. He's more like Sergeant Major. He's more like that. I don't know what voice you would do.
I like mine.
Yours is like a Jimmy Savile voice.
Well, he's a bit weird.
Yeah, he is a bit weird. Not Jimmy Savile, though. He's a monster. Don't know if he's stuck in his crypt. Fucking hell.
Anyway, let's not split us over whose voice does what. Anyway.
It's all right, Dennis. I've had years of actor training and experience. It just comes with the job. Acting talent.
Jesus, acting. Do we ever give it a rest? Anyway, so the maze gets complete, the door is open, and Major walks out. And he's pretty much kind of shit. They made this chicken wire. It's sturdy. So he's off walking down this little maze area.
Very narrow.
Lights are off. Then they're on again. And one bit he goes, "Ow!" Lights go on, and both sides of the maze has razor blades sticking out of them. A bit Saw-esque.
Yeah, I was going to say that. It is that kind of death trap. You can choose to live, but you can hurt yourself more if you're going to live, but you've got to take that risk. Yeah.
There must be I'm at 100 razor blades there. And not one of them gets a nick from them, and they're blind. Anyway. So he finally makes his way through.
It is a comic book. You've got to suspend your disbelief a little bit, Dennis.
I just found it really funny. He makes his way through area of razor blades, walks round, and he's directly in front of a door. So McGee opens the door with a piece of string, and out pops hungry, snarling, slavering Shane. From Boyzone. So Shane basically then runs at the Major. Major fills his pants there and then, turns around and starts running back to his cell. And as he gets to the wall of razor blades, he's like, right, I'll start walking down again. Starts doing a little shimmy, and the lights go out. And then you just hear barking and
screaming.
And tearing and stuff.
Yeah, this was definitely one of my favorites. I love how kind of unnerving it is and disconcerting it is. And there's lots of moments where he could be the better person, be the bigger person, go, okay, I'll, and they even suggest, like, you've got some art on the walls in a blind home. Why don't you fucking sell this? We're not seeing this or looking at it. We're not benefiting from this artwork. So just fucking sell it. Like, he's like, he can smell what he's eating. He's saying, we experience things much more acutely than you do. Give us a break. And he tries, and then he sets the dog on him, and they're like, oh fucking hell. So they trap the dog, and then even when he's trapped, the Sergeant Major, you do kind of feel sorry for him and the dog, because they're starving the dog, and the Sergeant Major's like, please just feed my dog. If you're not going to feed me, feed my dog. And you go, oh, does he deserve this? And then you're like, yeah, he kind of does, but does he? And then you're like, how cruel is this? And I kind of like that, the whole idea is that they take away his sight at the time he needs it most to get their revenge. But yeah, I loved it. I think Patrick McGee is one of the best things in it as well. I think,
yes, I'll go with that.
Just as strong a performance, or maybe not quite as strong as maybe Peter Cushing's, but it's one of the most memorable performances in this film. And yeah,
I just be reasonable as well.
Again, he gives him a chance.
Wants a blanket.
Yeah, he's like, "Can we have some blankets?" He's like, "No, I can't afford it."
Nah.
And then again, he's like got his fire on. He's got all this food, like really fancy food, and they're having like basically gruel. And yeah, I thought it was really good. And again, you could there's a lot of political allegories in there as well. I think there's you could see Tory party. Not political at all. I'm not very political, but yeah, you can certainly see the haves and the haves-nots.
Oh yes,
perhaps. If you want to look into it that deeply. But yeah, I thought it was an excellent story and a solid finale. But now, what about the framing device? We come to the end of this with our framing device. And what is revealed, Dennis, as you probably have already teased?
The reveal of the end of the
end of the film. That's it. Yeah.
Sorry.
We're going to reveal that actually Dennis is dead instead of all these people. He just died on me. Totally died. Oh, what? We're still going. Oh shit! We've still got another film to talk about, Dennis, and the comparison.
Was literally hanging on every word you were saying, to the point that I just got sucked in by your words.
Dennis went blind for a second.
Anyway, so at the end, I'll go back to the crypt. The crypt keeper is kind of sat there. Oh, I forgot a little bit. The major is also a dick when he's in the crypt as well, isn't he?
Yeah, he's an arsehole. Yeah. Well, he's just an arsehole all the time.
Yeah, he's an arsehole. Yeah.
And there's the bit also, we got to mention, like the bit where the guy's like, literally, we need to call a doctor. This guy's dying. He's like, no, you don't. Don't be. This is 3 a.m. What are you doing? Stop bothering me. They're like, we're freezing to death. He is coughing his guts up. He is dying. Please call a doctor. And eventually he goes, okay. Slowly puts on his dressing gown, goes down, and he doesn't even know who he is. He doesn't even know who this guy is, and he's like, what's his name? Where is he? And even the blind guy literally knows exactly where he lives, knows who it is, and points directly to him. Even though he's blind, he knows exactly where his bed is. And he's like, oh, let me check him. And he's like, oh, shit, this guy's dead. And it's like, and that's the turning point. Because even though he's very begrudgingly doing something nice, he's still, via the delay and all the shit he's done, caused it, it's manslaughter, I guess you could call it, probably, more so than anything. But yeah, he is complicit in this man's death. So
very much so.
But yeah,
so
but
the
framing device
kind of sums up what's kind of happened, sort of thing, with the group, and says, right, you can go now. Off your pot. This door opens. There's a white light. I can't remember which one stands up and walks forward first.
It's the guy from the Monkey's Paw story.
Yeah. So he walks up to it and goes, "Ooh, I can smell something burning." What is that smell? He goes, "What do you think?" And he debate, and then he just falls into this.
Yeah, all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Hellfire.
Of hellfire, which so they're all basically in hell.
Already dead. Surprise, surprise.
Already dead. Burning, also being lectured. There's nothing worse than being lectured when you're dead.
I mean, that's hell. That's hell. Yeah. I've been to a lot of lectures, and they certainly felt like hell sometimes, depending on the lecturer and the lecturer. It does feel like that if it's a bad one.
At the end, the crypt keeper kind of turns around and says, "And now, who's next?" And he turns the camera and just says, perhaps you,
Dun dun dun.
and looks right at you.
Yeah, and asks you, what have you done?
Yeah.
That's really bad. Are
Yeah.
you a bad person? Do you live life well? Are you good?
Do you deserve to be dressed in a suit to go to a crypt tour without any sensible shoes?
Sensible shoes.
And then lectured. I wouldn't mind it, but I don't want to hear what the other 4 people have done. I don't give a crap about them.
Tell me what I've done. It's about me. Again, Dennis, all about you every time. What about me? What about me? Tell me tell me the horrible things that I'm gonna do and have done.
Says the actor.
I've done a lot of horrible things. You've seen them. They're on YouTube. That was one of my favorite things going to see the Batman, was hearing Andy Serkis deliver one of my lines from the Batman fan film. And because he's the closest to like a Cockney Alfred, I guess. Well, I guess they're all a bit Cockney, aren't they? Sean Pertwee and Michael Caine, they're all a little bit Cockney. So yeah, I chuckled to myself. Nobody knew what I was chuckling at. But
yeah, and it looked even worse because both me and Amy looked at each other and started chuckling. And they must have thought we were insane.
Yeah, probably. I mean, they probably do already. I mean, look at you, the two of you, mental. You're mental, you lot.
That's not nice, is it?
No, but it's true. But it's in a positive. I use it in a positive light.
You're going to end up being lectured by the Crypt Keeper, telling you.
Probably. Maybe I'm already being lectured by a Crypt Keeper. Oh.
Maybe you've got the devil's fork up your bottom.
Anyway, speaking of bottoms and your Vault of Horror, let's carry on to the next one. Let's carry on to the next one. The Vault of Horror, starring Tom Baker, the Doctor. So we've had a Doctor Who in both, or a Doctor in both of the films. Denzel Elliott as well from Indiana Jones is in this as well. Some other people. Terry Thomas as well.
And some other people.
Some other people. People are there. Anna Massey as well. Some other quality. I watched this first segment and I was like, who do I know? Where do I know that guy from? The main guy in this segment. And I realized because I watched Escape to Victory or Escape from Victory, Escape to Victory.
Escape to Victory.
Escape to Victory.
Which is basically Sylvester Stallone's best ever role.
Yeah, probably not. Anyway, let's talk about this one. So the framing device for this one is that there's some men in a lift and they accidentally go to the sub-basement and then they're like, oh, this is swanky, this mirrored room. Well, the lift won't move, so we might as well just stay here and talk. That's kind of it. There's no Crypt Keeper character. It's kind of just like, it's just like, oh, we're at a gentleman's club.
Yes, let's just sit around here and discuss our dreams.
Yeah, exactly. And it's kind of like, at least with the Crypt Keeper, he's going, what have you done? Or like he almost conjures the story or pulls it out of them. With this, they're just like, let's have a drink. Anyway, have you ever had a weird dream?
It felt so real.
Have you ever had a dream that's real? Yeah, it's just, I don't know why that's your first go-to. Not like, who are you? Where do you come from?
Have you lived in the building long?
Yeah. Why are we down here? Were you here for a reason? It's just very odd. It just begins. I wasn't entirely sold by the beginning of the framing device, I'll be honest. And then tell us about the first segment, Midnight Mess.
Midnight Mass. Basically,
mess, not mass. Mess.
Oh yeah, mess. Sorry. Harold Rogers is looking for his sister Donna. I don't know why I laugh at it, because I used to know someone called Donna. Anyway, tracks her down to a village, goes into and asks if anyone's seen her or whatever.
Well, also don't forget he's had a private detective find his sister.
Yes,
and he's killed off the private detective. He's like,
yes,
no one saw you come in here. That's the information I want. So strangles him or stabs him. Whatever.
And everybody he meets in this little village is a little bit odd. They keep saying, "Oh, we shut at 8. So why do you shut? I like the way he goes. He's in a pub. We shut. You can't shut at 8 out. I'm hungry."
Okay, we'll stay open then.
Just for you. So they were saying,
it was like when we went to Malta. It was like, it's Friday night. Closing at 7.
What are you doing?
What are you doing? It's weird.
So he's wandering around this village. He eventually catches up with his sister, who's like shocked to see him. Like, what are you doing here? Kind of stuff. This is not. Why have you come here? And he goes, well, father has died and everything in his estate is left to you and me. Again, money,
life insurance.
Life insurance. So it's split between us unless, you're not around, and stabs her.
That's another thing, a comparison. A lot of the segments are about life insurance in both films.
Yes.
There you go. There's another reason for comparison. But yeah, kills her out of the blue, just stabs the shit out of her. You know what?
I'm going to go and have a dinner.
Bit peckish.
I'm going to go.
That was hungry. That was hungry work, that murder.
I want to go back to the pub that I've demanded stays open for me to serve me. Goes back to there, starts munching away at his local restaurant, and the food's a bit beetrooty, bit red, it's a bit dodgy. And then Donna appears. She's not dead. She's undead. In fact, she's a vampire. In fact, the whole town are vampires.
Which is a lovely reveal as they pull up a curtain, and it's a giant mirror, and the only person that appears in the mirror is the brother.
That is absolutely pretty cool. I like that.
I'll tell you what I did like as well is he keeps bringing over the food, and he keeps like, it's not quite right, this. And he's like, don't worry, I'll get. Oh yeah, it was like, well, it's the usual, sir. It's what we normally have. And he's like, okay. And he's like, yes, this is a nice tomato juice. This, and he's like, yes, tomato juice.
Tomato.
Stuff like that. I love the kind of like it's almost like they think he's being a bit wry with his humor, but actually he's just like, what's going on?
I think he could do with another 10 minutes in the microwave. What are you doing?
Yeah. He's one of those Weatherspoons people that goes in and complains. It's like like it's been microwaved. This, well, they're like,
what are you doing?
Well, it has. It has been microwaved.
I also think it's the worst vampire teeth I have seen in a long time because they're all stuck onto the lips, aren't they?
They're not real. Yeah.
You know what? I don't know why I'm showing you because no one else can see this.
No, he's making long gestures with his hand, showing me the long teeth. But yes, it's not.
Donna has proper fangs. Her mouth is different.
Everyone else is like, oh.
So they basically.
I think it's probably because they blew the budget on her teeth, and then they just didn't bother with anybody else's. But they absolutely, like, you see it off camera, but they absolutely just maul him and turn him basically into a bloody wine bag, don't they?
Yeah, they stick his thing in the jugular. She drinks her brother, which I might add, you don't see in the American version of it. They cut that out. Yeah, they black it out. You just see her drinking the glass. You don't actually see where it comes from.
There you go. Uncut. We watched it uncut on YouTube.
Bloody Americans who
the bloody version.
You can take anyone to the cinema you want, but we're not showing a bit of this paint.
And also you can take guns into a cinema. Anyway, politics. Moving on swiftly.
All right, Pierce. Let's move on.
Not Pierce. Do not compare me to Pierce fucking Morgan. Jesus Christ! All the pundits and people to compare me to. Don't compare me to that shit house.
I compare you to people of much higher stature than that. Much higher.
Good.
Like Fiona Bruce.
Fiona Bruce. Right. Anyway, it's weird tangent. Let's get off it. Next one, I think, is possibly the worst segment in both films.
Oh God,
it is fucking dreadful.
I don't get it.
I think it's trying to be funny, like darkly humorous, but it doesn't really work for me. Terry Thomas is this aging old man. He's rich. He's a neat freak. And his wife, who is the feminist mother from Mary Poppins, she's in this. Can't remember her name. I think it's Glynis Jones, something like that.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, by the way, like he's in a restaurant. He sat next to a guy. He's like, oh, by the way, I'm getting married to a young lady that I used to know of a friend of mine. And I was going to say she's not entirely young in any way. She's in at least her 40s, at the very least.
But
40s
like
50s.
They get married like after, I'm going to marry her. All right.
Yeah. Because that's how it was done back in the 70s. But she kind of explains that she had no money, she had no skills, she couldn't get a job, so she's kind of like, oh, well, this is what the best thing I can do. Dad's gone, da-da-da-da-da. And he is this obsessive neat freak. He needs everything in a place, and everything in its place and everything in place, or whatever the saying goes. I can't remember what it is.
He really talks to her like shit as well. Though.
Oh, it was very like uncomfortable. From a 20 from a 2020, I mean, it could be more uncomfortable, it could be more aggressive.
And I think they do try, like you said, they tried to kind of carve it in with a bit of comedy, because the bit when he's trying to find his ironing and he puts her knickers on.
Yeah, that's quite funny.
And those kind of things. But if you watch it with today's eyes, it's very much psychological, isn't it? It's very much
the battering of the self down, the psychological bullying and stuff, and I can definitely see that. But I don't think it's done very well. I don't think it's the type of story you need to inject humor into. I think if they went full into the horror, I think it would be more effective.
It's almost like Carry On.
A little bit.
In parts.
Like Terry Thomas is a comedian, a comedic actor, more so than anything else. And it just doesn't really work. And then it gets worse and worse and worse. She's quite clumsy as well, unfortunately. And there's a moment where right at the end, the kind of finale, she's stressing out and going mad, and she's absolutely trying her best to keep the house in order and everything. But it does come across, like, the idea is that he comes across as this sexist pig and, misogynist and stuff. And she eventually, she knocks something over, spills a drink, and then the next thing she does is try to fix the rug, and then that knocks over a lamp, so she has to sweep up the lamp. But while she's sweeping up the lamp, it knocks a framed picture off the wall, things like that. It just gets worse and worse. She gets downstairs, she's getting a hammer to put a nail in the wall, and then it destroys all the kind of tool area, the basement. It's just ruined. And then he arrives home and he just kind of starts repeating, "Can't you do anything right? Can't you do anything right?" sort of thing. And eventually she snaps. And again, I think this was cut from the American version, where she hits him directly over the head with the hammer, killing him. And then it ends with the visual gag of she's like, "Look, everything is in its place." And she's got all of his body and different bits in jars. And obviously his teeth are the Terry Thomas teeth with a big gap in them. And it's just like, that's the last image you get. But it's not funny. It's not scary. It's not entertaining. It goes on way too long. It's too repetitive.
Yes.
It's just not good. So if you do need to skip any of the segments in either of the films, I think you can skip this one.
I would agree.
Yeah, it's just not great.
I'll just watch it for a guy wearing knickers.
Yeah, that's the funniest bit. That's the best bit. So, Dennis, tell us about the next segment. This trick will kill you.
This is about magicians and magic.
Oh,
and just
our least favorite thing.
Yeah, on a segue for me, I hate magic. I hate magicians. I think
con men. You said
complete con men. They might as well just put a black mask on and have a bag with swag written on the back, because there's no such thing as magic, and just because they can make a card disappear and reappear, that's called a trick. It's not magic. Anyway, so
we've heard about this before, but anyway, let's hear about this story.
Sebastian and his wife, they're on like a working holiday in India to find the next trick, the next good trick. So it starts off with this guy showing a bit of like, "Ooh, look at this, I can do," ooh. And then Sebastian, the spoil sport, kind of outs him basically by saying, no, you've done this, you've done that. Look, it's hidden here, it's hidden there. This is what's happening. So that was basically he's getting frustrated because he can't find that trick. So, they're still looking around for the different tricks, and they come across a guy with a flute. It is a flute, isn't it?
Yeah. And like a snake charmer, isn't it?
Yeah, like a snake charmer who charms this rope out of a basket, and then a woman climbs it, and they can't figure out how she's done it. So they go back to the hotel and think, we got to find a way of doing it. We need this trick. This trick is brilliant. We've got to find out how we can do it. So they invite the young lady back to show the trick off, and then they kind of offer money. And the girl saying it's the rope. It's not me. It's the rope that is the trick. Is the magic. Sebastian doesn't like this. Gets a little bit angry and murders the rope girl, which is not done really, is it?
Not on. Definitely not on.
So he has a go trying to do the trick, can't do it, but then gets the flute and instantly picks up the tune.
He's quite the magician.
Yeah, quite the magician. The rope goes up, which is really cool. his assistant, wife, whatever, starts climbing up the rope. He said, it can hold my weight. She's shaking on it. Or, don't know why I'm showing everybody what shaking means, because again, no one can see me.
It looks very erotic from here.
Thank you.
The way you were shaking then.
So she's climbing up the rope, and all of a sudden she disappears and screams. She disappears to the top, gone.
Yeah, she looks at the ceiling, and like she's seen death itself, screams, and then quite literally disappears.
Yes.
Now you see me, now you don't.
The rope then coils round and basically hangs Sebastian, the magician. So it hangs him, he dies, and then the end kind of thing is going through the bazaar, selling things, stuff, and it comes across the girl, the victim, and that's how it ends.
Yeah, so she never died.
She never died because it's the rope that is magic.
So yeah, and then we kind of see, I think, do we see the rope like almost like looking at, I think, no, that's it. He hangs, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And you can see from the window.
Yes.
Now, it's not probably the most kind of sensitive depiction of India, I would say. I will say.
What do you mean, Dan?
It's very stereotypical Indian dress, and yeah, it's not what I would. It's not sensitive. It's not sensitive in its stereotypical nature. Let's put it that way. I will say this for it: it does actually have Indian people, and there's a section later again, which probably isn't the most sensitive to certain cultures. And again, it does have people of color. Thank God, because again, most films like this probably at this time would black people up, unfortunately, and that was kind of the standard back then. So at least they had that. But yeah, again, the depictions are not great. I kind of like this one, and I kind of don't. I think everything up until the bit where they do the murder and they're figuring out the trick is not that interesting, really. He's not. He tries to buy the trick and they say no. He tries to do this. He's like, can you show me? And then when they're trying to figure out the trick, they're like, oh, there's the wire and stuff. And I think the kill and everything at the end, I think the two moments where they both die is actually quite good and quite well done. But I think it takes some drudgery to get there, because he's quite like a miserable bastard. I think he's a good actor, but it's just there's not much to it other than, like, I can't tell you their character other than Grumpy must find trick.
Yeah,
that's and she's there as well, and she's like, ooh.
But Dan, you're missing the importance. It's illusion.
It's trickery. But yeah, it's fine. I don't think it's the best segment. But again, I did like the ending of it. I did like the finale works for me.
It's quite a short one as well, isn't it? It's not really long either. It feels quite short when it was on.
I think maybe this one could have been stretched out a bit more. Maybe there was something else to it. Maybe he finds a different trick, or I don't know, something else maybe, because it was very kind of one. It felt very, obviously it's an anthology, but it felt very one and done. It was like, oh yeah, and this and that and that are dead. There wasn't much to it other than these arsehole magician trying to steal other people's tricks.
Yeah.
He can't be that good a magician if he can't come up with his own fucking tricks. So there you go.
He wants a showstopper, doesn't he? That's what he's going for. He wants like this trick that nobody knows how he's done it or anything. It's that kind of like, ooh,
Yeah, you do get a lot of these kind of horror stories that are based on kind of artists' obsession with their work and trying to find the next thing or the next inspiration or being the best in their field and things. So it kind of, things like Whiplash isn't a horror story, but that's that kind of idea of trying to constantly working on being the best and the kind of mental situation it puts you in to try and be constantly on the top level, constantly outdoing yourself. So yeah, it does lead into a lot of kind of horror stories, and I do like that though, being a former actor. So I can get that, and even as a podcaster, I'm a perfectionist.
You are
so very, very much so much of a perfectionist. I got Dennis to change 3 devices before we recorded. That's how bad the sound quality was on the other devices.
It wasn't that bad, but I do it. I want you to be happy, so it doesn't matter. Your happiness is directly related to my happiness.
Good. And vice versa, Dennis, vice versa.
And if you're unhappy, I'm unhappy.
There we go. There we go. So yeah, but it's a fine segment, but it'll do. The next one is the one you were going on about.
And I can't remember this.
Okay, don't worry, I can. So starts off, and there's a guy again, life insurance, and yet again turns up in this. So a guy has given himself an injection, or his friend's going to give him an injection to simulate death. So he's going to take some drugs, whatever it may be, and it slows his heart rate, his pulse, so he will appear dead.
I could do with that injection when Sarah's mum and dad come round. Anyway, carry on.
Anyway, so his friend says, right, when the time is right, come and get me. I'll not have much air. I need you to come and dig me out, basically. Now, the guy dies, and next door there's two morticians who are like, oh, we need to practice. They're student morticians. They're like, we need to practice. We need to find a corpse. If only we could get a corpse. Very much kind of Frankenstein or Birkenhair type thing. If only we can get a corpse. And then they go, well, he's just died. Natural causes. A lot to play with. So they decide to go and dig him up. So unbeknownst to the guy in the grave, the guy who was supposed to dig him up is just keeping the money. He's just fucking off with the money, which I was like, yeah, maybe you should have, I don't know, maybe there should have been a clause or something, or
choose your friends better.
Yeah, maybe, because that's a lot of trust to put in one fucking guy. I would say, but there you go. And he's waiting, he's scratching, and it's kind of like that film Buried. With Ryan Reynolds, and these guys come and they get the grave digger to dig him up, and he literally leaps out of the grave like a vampire and screams his friend's name. The two morticians run off, and they're like, "Oh fucking hell, what was that? It was a zombie, a vampire? I don't know." And then the gravedigger calls them back and says, "Don't worry, lads, I killed it." And he's killed the guy. So the guy is now actually dead. Sorry, he's like, "Sorry about the head. You don't have to work for that bit." But that's basically the story. Again,
Are they called Tom and Jerry?
Probably. Fuck knows.
I'm sure the two guys are called Tom and Jerry.
That would not surprise me. It's a very cartoony, kind of gothic, grotesque one. But again, I don't think it's one of the stronger segments. But yeah, it's fine. It didn't set my world on fire. How about you?
I can't remember it, so obviously not.
Yeah, clearly not that memorable.
As you're talking about them, I am getting flashbacks of little things, because they're like, they want to work on different bodies, and they've got to wait for people to die and that kind of stuff.
Exactly. They need something fresh. Very much like Reanimator or something. They need fresh bodies. I think
it just passed me by, to be honest, because like I said, I can't remember that much about it.
Yeah. Well, we both watched these back to back, didn't we? So,
yeah.
So I hadn't seen Vault, and you hadn't seen Tales. So you did it the opposite way I did it. So I did Vault first and then Tales, and you did Tales and then Vault.
Yes.
So yeah. And then the final one, I think, is probably the best segment in this, with Tom Baker. And they kind of, during the kind of framing device, they kind of tease that, like, Tom Baker people are like, oh, tell us your story. You look interesting. Tell us your story. And he's like, no, not yet. Not yet.
No, in typical Tom Baker voice.
Tom Baker,
and hair.
Yeah, he does have the hair, and he does have that very long wispy beard as well.
Yes, yeah,
not the best beard.
He's almost like a cross between Doctor Who and Wurzel Gummidge.
Now that is a show I'd watch.
I know. I like this one.
Yeah.
For me, it kind of had undertones of like a Dorian Gray type.
Definitely, yeah.
Type thing. So basically, Tom Baker's character, I think he's called Moore. He's poor. He's living in Haiti.
Poor Moore.
Poor Moore. He's been told his pictures are worthless, absolutely penniless, absolute shite. No one's going to ever buy him. But then he learns that the people who have been telling him his paintings are shit, I've sold them for hundreds and hundreds of pounds. Fortune, his pictures. So obviously, he's a little bit upset. He's a little bit kind of angst. So he goes and speaks to a voodoo priest. Obviously, it's Haiti. They're going to have a voodoo priest. And what the voodoo priest basically does is empower his hands to whatever he draws, whatever puts on it, will become true. Okay. So first of all, he's a bit skeptical. He's like, yeah, whatever. So he paints a portrait of himself and then draws a line on the painting. Next morning he wakes up, he's got a little cut on his cheek. So he's like, oh my God, this is great. But I'm not a complete dick.
This is great. I love cutting myself. It's brilliant.
This is fab. I can do amazing things here. So he swans off to Liverpool. Not Liverpool, London. I don't know why I said Liverpool. Maybe it's...
He took the ferry across the Mersey.
Yeah. Which is, he goes from Haiti to London, but he's got no money. Maybe that's voodoo as well. But anyway.
Maybe just drew a picture of him with loads of money.
Yeah, flies over. That's what he should have done. Anyway. But he's not a complete arsehole because he goes to them first and says, listen, you're not on, basically. You said these were rubbish. You've sold them for lots of money. And they just basically laugh at him and say, what are you going to do about it? Because
it's this big conspiracy with the reviewers, because the reviewers were like, the owners of the art, his agent, and the people who sell the art are all in this. I did find it a little bit like, okay, right. So that they've done that to do that, and they've done that to do that. I did have to connect the dots a little bit. It wasn't very clear, I don't think, with the plot.
The guy from Indiana Jones, I can't remember his name.
Denholm Elliott.
There he is. He's the kind of ringleader. He's, the puppet master. He's kind of moving all the pieces of the jigsaw. So they're not going to give him any of his money. They're not going to start saying his artwork's very good or anything. And they're going to just keep fleecing him. So Moore just walks out and says, you will all pay.
This painting has got a death curse.
Death curse. Goes back to his little studio and paints one of each of the three men.
And they're all actually really good paintings.
Oh, really
they're genuinely really good paintings of these people.
They look exactly like the character. He basically then takes these pictures to show the individuals look at this, it's great. And then he says things to him like, you will see no more, and then pulls the eyes out, and then that a grossly out moment with the eyes.
Yeah, very 70s situation with the wife's like, how long have you been sleeping with this woman? He's like, I care for you, but I like to shag around. It's the 20th century. What are you gonna do? And then she throws like acid or some chemical in his eyes. Yeah. And then the other one, it's the hands.
In the factory. Yeah, he's using a guillotine, and he's basically he's one and he won't be able to use his hands anymore. So the guillotine's coming down. There's no safety. Health and safety gone mad, I'm telling you.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. And he gets both his hands cut off, which is quite cool as well.
Yeah. That's probably another bit that was cut out of the US one, I imagine.
Probably, yeah. The final one, he goes to the ringleader. He's out there, but he's prepared for this because he's hearing what's going on with the other guys. So he walks in, pulls out a gun, points a gun at him. So he shows the picture of him. Look, beautiful reveal. And then just goes up to it and sticks a red dot in the middle of his head. Which I thought was a bit weird, to be honest. I thought there was.
Were you flashing back to the previous installment?
Yeah, I was thinking
the racist depiction of India.
Yeah, I just thought it was a bit weird. Anyway, so he's got the gun, pointing the gun, but his hands moving towards him, and he ends up blowing his own head off. So after everyone's dead, he starts. Tom Baker starts going, "Oh, I can't breathe very well." Oh, by the way, he's took his watch off and slammed his watch down and says, you have 2 minutes to live. So he can't breathe. And he realizes, oh, hang on, I put my picture in a safe. Crap. So he rushes right across London, goes upstairs, undoes the safe, takes the picture out and can breathe again. So he's like, fabulous. Puts the picture up.
I didn't get that. I actually didn't see that. That's quite clever because it's in the safe, so there's no air. So he's struggling to breathe. Yeah, I didn't get that. That's interesting, that.
Yeah, so then he puts the picture up, but then realizes he's left his watch with the guy who just shot his head off. He's like, crap, I need to go. So off he runs again, but he leaves his picture up. And as in typical 1970s style, there's a workman.
Oh, this is brilliant.
Painting on the smallest piece of wood you can find with a massive container of white spirit terps there. And he's not even tethered to anything. Tethered to it. So he keeps moving backwards and forwards. So you're seeing
wobbling it.
The edits is showing Tom running through town trying to get a taxi. No one's stopping.
Yeah, he's going to get the watch, isn't he?
Yeah. So, and then it flashes back to the painter tipping the old can, and then back to Tom, and then obviously the container falls, smashes through the skylight, and covers the painting in Terps, White Spirit, which instantly makes the painting run. And yeah, Tom comes to a gooey end.
A smushed end. Yeah, you don't actually see, what's really good about that is it doesn't show you like the body or what happens to Tom. You just see the painting just dissolving.
Yeah.
I love it. It was so fucking ludicrous. The Terps. It's just a big bottle of Terps up there. It just made me laugh. I loved it, but I was like, this is fucking stupid as well. I really liked this one. I think there was a bit more to mine there. And I think, again, I felt like maybe they could have got there a bit quicker, but I liked that it wasn't just as simple as like, oh, it just occurs. Like the cut on his face, he draws that, and in the night he has a bad dream, and then he falls into smashes some pots, falls into that and cuts his face, just like the painting. And again, he does something with, I think it's like an egg or something, or a bit of food. He draws it's a bit of bread, actually. He draws a bit of bread, and then it falls to the floor, and then he was like, well, I'll erase a little part of the bread, and then a rat comes and eats some of it. So I like the learning of the powers, and that was really interesting as well. But yeah, I think it was, again, one of the strongest, if not, they've gone out with their best one last. They finished really, really strong, I think, in this particular film.
See, I thought they were going to go for the picture setting on fire and all that kind of, because I thought that would look really, but I did like the smear of the his face draining kind of stuff.
Yeah, it would have been nice maybe if there was like a skull underneath or something like that. That might have been cool, but obviously it's a bit, that might be a bit on the nose. But they had fucking Terps fall on the fucking painting.
They had a Terps, yeah.
Fucking big bottle of Terps. That could have been literally any liquid. It had to be fucking Terps, didn't it?
And it's written on it. There's nothing else than concern about from White Spirit. Terps.
Just in case you don't know what either of those are, let's put both of their names on.
Put them on there
just to clear up that. But then go on.
Yeah, this bit just I don't understand it either. So they finish the stories and they all go, oh, right then, better get back in the lift then, haven't we? So they stand up to carry on doing what they're doing with the day, but then they realise that basically the lift isn't going anywhere, and they're damned for eternity to tell the shitty stories to each other.
I read that initially the original idea was that they kind of come out as kind of corpses or zombies, and I think there might have been another actor that played one of the other parts that the men play within the stories. But again, there's not a lot of information on it. Again, I think the older I go back for like movies, for like facts and kind of trivia, it's a bit harder to find stuff out because again, a lot of this stuff wasn't really recorded back then, the behind the scenes stuff. It's only kind of like late 70s to 80s and onwards where you kind of get a little bit more trivia and facts and figures and things.
I just think it's not really a punishment for me. Like the other one, when they're actually in hell.
Yeah, and it's a shock and a surprise because they don't know that,
and they're just going to sit down and gossip and drink wine and have some food.
Yeah, a bit of cheese and stuff. And it's and the ending again. The ending breaks the fourth wall and it goes. We are destined to tell these stories over and over again. And I was like, that's a real. Again, it needed a character to like an accusing character, a judge, so to speak, like the Crypt Keeper. But it was just like, well, it's just sit down and talk. Yeah, this is great. Like it's not like Asylum's got a great framing device, and and there's lots of other kind of bloody anthology horror films that we could list. Body Bags. We've got John Carpenter. As a fucking mortician, freaky dead mortician, talking about each segment, which is great. And that's all you need. You just need like a little nothing. I'm not asking for anything spectacular, and it doesn't need to. You don't need to pepper it, or there don't need to be signs of them being connected or anything. But think of a solid framing device. Like you've got time and imagination, and I do think it is a little bit of a shit riff on the previous one. And again, I think you do need that character because otherwise it's just like people are here. Maybe if it was I tell you what if it was sleep therapy? Like it was if they're all struggling with sleep and they're all having these horrible dreams and they're sat around and they're talking about them in a therapeutic way, that would be much more interesting than what we got. Like that idea alone, it's my idea, so it's great. Obviously it's amazing, but like that, because that would give you the impetus to talk about dreams And then you can go into this, well, my dream was like this, then lead it into a big fucking twist at the end, or do something like, oh, wait, is this all a dream? You know, or something like that. Even that's fucking better. You know, and I hate all this was all a dream, but fucking hell, it would have been more interesting than just like, well, and there's no kind of tease to say that they know why they're talking about it, or, you know, that it's already happened or anything like that. Like, at least in the Tales in the Crypt one, you've got, you know, like the brooch and then the bloody kind of bit of material where his heart was taken out.
Yes.
That sort of stuff is quite nice. And again, if you watch it again and you notice those things, that's great. And I think this quite neatly leads us on to the comparison of the two films, Dennis. So, so as you know, we always do 5 categories: writing, acting, music, cinematography, and direction. So let's start off with the writing. Which of these, both written by the same guy, what do you think is the strongest?
Tales.
Are you talking overall, or are you talking maybe each of the segments? Or
I think the segments are a lot stronger. I think out of the 5, 4 of them are great. 2 of them are fantastic. I also think the bookend is good. I like the staging of it, and I think it's more engaging with the audience. I think having the Crypt Keeper there, keeping the threads together, I think works far better than just sitting around a table going, yeah, let's tell a story.
Maybe even if they were trapped down there, if they were really trapped and they were panicking, you know, oh, this reminds me of this thing where when was the last time I was this afraid? Oh, I remember this.
I think with the Tales one as well, it's kind of like packaged as a cautionary tale for each of them, even though they've already done it. And you kind of get ideas of that, like you were saying, the brooch and the red shirt and stuff. But it's kind of packaged as, you know, this what could happen if you don't. And I think if you look at Vault, I would say the only one really that I liked was the last one, the Tom Baker one. Yeah, I think the other ones were very weak. I thought rushed in part, and like you're saying, the Clean Freak one, it just didn't fit for me. I quite like the vampire one, but again, it was just the only good thing was the reveal for me. I wasn't engaged as much as I was with the other one.
Yeah, I think I agree. I agree totally. I think what they've done is they've gone, I really like these EC comics. Let's get my favorite stories. Let's write script about them. And they went, oh, fuck, this was popular. Let's do it again. Let's find some other stories, not quite as good stories, and do a version of them or a spin on them. And again, most of them actually weren't from Vault of Horror. Most of these stories in Vault were from Tales of the Crypt anyway.
Yes. Yeah.
So it was like, you know, and some of them were from elsewhere as well, Terror Tales or something like that.
Yeah, all of them around about the 1957-ish, weren't it? 57 or 56.
Suspense. I think it might have been suspense stories maybe or something. Yeah, but they're all from EC Comics still. They're still in the EC Comics brand. They paid for the rights from the creators to use them. But yeah, I do feel like it does smack of that. It's like, oh, this was really popular. Let's do it again, but with some other stories from that. Since we already have the rights, let's do more of that or pay them again. The same amount, you know, they use the same sets, they redress those sets, you know, it's very, very kind of, you know, but I also don't think the sets are very interesting to look at in necessarily the second one. But no, I agree. I think it's a bit more of a solid film in whole. Again, I don't dislike Vault of Horror.
No, I don't either.
I just think it's just not as good as Tales in that regard. I don't think it helped
the fact, like, I watched them back to back and I watched Tales first. I still would come to the same conclusion. I watched them in the opposite way around, and I still came to the same conclusion. Yeah, especially about the writing. So I think on the whole, framing device is better, and all the segments are a lot stronger for it. The next comparison is acting. So I think this is a slightly tougher one because I think they're both very strong in their performances. I think arguably that's what carries it through. Regardless how you feel about anything else, I do think the strength of most of these is the acting because it gives that gravitas. I would go towards Tales as well, just because I think, you've got Peter Cushing brings his A game. You've got Patrick McGee brings his A game. You've got
Ian Hendry.
Yeah, I think you've got a kind of slightly higher caliber of actors.
Joan Collins surprises me because again, I'm just used to not really Joan Collins being an actor, but just being kind of a celebrity.
Yeah.
Like as old as I've been alive, I've not really seen her do much acting, quote unquote acting. It's more that she's a socialite celebrity type. She goes to events and does stuff. But she was great.
Even the Crypt Keeper's cool in it. And then you go over to Vault, and for me, it ties into the best episode, which was the last one. I think everybody in that one, Tom Baker, is brilliant. I think the Neat Freak one is just plain to kind of carry on that sort of stuff. I think the isn't this funny? This woman's she can't clean her own house and now she's going to murder, isn't it? And the vampire one has no depth in it at all. Nah. You don't really know anything. But go back to the Peter Cushing one. Elliot, who goes through the whole thing, he actually, through his acting conveys that he never says that he's, remorseful.
No.
But you get that impression of him. In the other ones, there's not really any of that going on.
No, it's just that they're kind of arseholes and that's it.
Yeah,
it's basically like, and I, like you said, like Midnight Mass, he's just a killer. Like straight away, he's a murderer within seconds, and that's all we know about him really, is that he's a murderer, and that's it. It's, and he wants the money, and he likes his fine foods and wines and stuff, but that's it. And it's the same for kind of the other ones. Like again, the guy burying himself. There's not much to that. There's not much, like some actors can elevate shit writing to a point, but I don't think they do it as well as.
And I also think Vault's got a distinct lack of like female talent in it as well, female actors in it as well.
Absolutely.
And one of the things that EC Comics did was they used to have lots of not just as like screaming women, running around half naked. They had strong female characters in the comics, like the final girl kind of aspect of it. So to kind of have that and not a bunch of guys sat around talking about story, and even that sitting around a table, you could clearly see that Tom Baker was the best one around that table when he
absolutely
was, building up his story and things. But with the other one, I think everyone brought their own game. So I think for me, it's Tails.
Yeah, and again, like me and my friend Andy have discussed this before. Just people sat around a table. It's not fucking interesting to look at. It's not interesting to watch. It's not interesting to see. And again, like if they were just doing exposition, which is technically what they do anyway, telling their story. But when they go on to the stories, that's what I'm more interested in. The framing device. Even the best actor in the world couldn't save that framing device. It is not a good framing device.
Well, we just look at like Iron Fist and Shin Godzilla. All they do is sit around the table and talk about it. So, that's not interesting.
Everyone wants a board meeting. Everyone's everyone's sat around a table saying, what should we do? What do we need to do?
No, I Tails for me.
Yeah, I agree. Tails as well. Grimsdyke alone wins it, I think, for me.
I think so. I agree.
And again, Patrick McGee in Blind Alleys, and again the Joan Collins, it's really surprisingly good. I didn't expect the amount of intensity and just her performance. Again, and unfortunately, that's because I've known her in her later years.
I'm the same, apart from Cleopatra and stuff like that. But
yeah, there you go. Okay, music. You did. I remember you saying again, same composer, but I remember you saying you really like the music in these.
I think the music on both of them is fantastic. I think it's really, the atmosphere is great. You've got that music, the dread kind of stuff within there, light-hearted music in some bits. I think the music's fantastic. I couldn't choose a winner on this because I just think the music is in both of them is just really, really strong. Typical, it's typical Amicus and kind of Hammer and things. You can, you go back to the soundtracks and you go past to the music, and it's just outstanding.
Right.
It's really, proper orchestra, You can't,
very gothic.
Oh, yeah.
Like every one is scored correctly.
Yes.
Even the India segments and the Haitian segments, there is a bit of that flavor of those places.
But, even when it starts, the music when it starts is very gothic, very kind of like thumping.
Bomb. So, I think there is classic score in this as well. It's used.
And so you have that kind of dread leading into it because this is the sort of music. But no, I I couldn't really. I'd listen to them both straight away.
And again, the intro is pretty boring. It's just text.
Yeah.
But the music is like, oh shit, we're in for something now. Even though it's like the Amicus Productions, everything hits. It's not the most interesting of kind of introductions to a film, but the music is enough. The use of the music, whether it's his original music or it's an orchestral, a classic piece of music, it still works and adds to it. So yeah, I think maybe we'll call this one a draw. I think.
Yeah, I would say so,
because I think it's the same guy. He wins. Anyway you cut it, he wins. It's really really good music, and again adds to the shittier segments. Like no matter what the segment is, even if you don't like it, you can agree that the music does exactly what it needs to do when it needs to do it.
Oh yeah, very much so.
Cinematography. So the look of the films. I was saying earlier that I don't think there's much. Again, the sets have been redressed for Vault, but I don't think the sets in Vault are very dynamic. I don't think they're visually that interesting. Other than I will say the mirrored sitting room is quite interesting to look at. It must have been a bastard to shoot.
Yeah.
But fucking hell, it looks interesting. And the graveyard at the end is good. But everything else in between is basically not that interesting.
It's like when we opened, I said, the crypt itself, you feel cold. It feels, it's just a crypt. It's great, but you have like a dripping and, a few shiny surfaces where water's coming in. And again, it's and if you look at the kind of individual kind of segments, look at the Peter Cushing one, the way, every time it goes to the rich people, it's nice and bright and flowers, and his is filmed with a little kind of filter on it to make it look a little bit darker and things. And it's little touches like that to me that kind of just pushes it over.
And the POV thing, the whole section with the POV, that's really interesting. Even if you're not that keen on the segment, you have to say the POV makes that segment, and that's interesting. But unfortunately, Vault doesn't do anything really that interesting with, its camera, its shot composition. Even the claustrophobia you feel during All Through the House with Joan Collins, you feel that, and you feel like it's a really cramped, small house that he could easily get in, and the second he gets in, you're fucked, basically. And I have to say, and the blind alleys segment, like that alone for cinematography is great. The tension it builds, the lights, the eeriness of those blind people, roaming around and doing stuff, and people not knowing what they're doing and things. So Tales as well for that one. And finally, direction.
I think we've already discussed which segments we think were the best. So it's got to go to Tales, hasn't it? I think. Out of 5, 4 is great. Even the weak one is watchable. Yeah. And 2 of them are outstanding. You go over to Vault.
One of them is dog shit. Yeah. And two or three of them are okay, and then you've got one amazing one. Yeah. But it can't save it, unfortunately.
No, because it late. Started with that one maybe, but it ends with that, so you kind of left wanting.
But then in a way, if you are watching this, that's coming up, then you've got something to look forward to.
Yeah.
And now if people are listening and they've not seen it, they'll go, well, maybe I'll just skip to that one and just watch that one, But I have to agree. I think Tales across the board pretty much, I know, the music was a draw just because it's the same guy basically, but I have to say, there's no tiebreakers today. It is going to Tales from the Crypt.
Yes.
And there's a reason why they use this as a title for the TV show and not Vault of Horror. Yes. You can clearly see that there's something more interesting. I think I do prefer the more American style Crypt Keeper because of the zombie and the animatronics and the humor, which is a lot more fitting with the comic. But I think Ralph Richardson was really good, and he holds the screen. That's again what you don't have. Like Tom Baker's the closest thing in Vault. But yeah, that's everything really. So we're coming to an end. So Dennis, you're still on the social medias, I take it?
I'm a bollocks.
Of course not. So where you can find me, so it's at Secret Balls on Facebook. It's at Twitter. It's at Twitter. It's at Dan_Balls on Twitter. Instagram, it's Spider-Dan Secret Balls. Review, like, share, comment, subscribe, etc. Don't forget to use the hashtag #PrepareForPrattle when you interact with us. If you want to join the Prattalion and be briefed in full on the Secret Balls, swing over to Prattle World at www.spiderdanandthesecretballs.com on the World Wide Web. I'd like to thank my patrons on Patreon. I am Jack's Musings, Paul Meller, Max Byrne, Scott Hodgson, Simon Cotton, Mike Burton, and Angry Andy Reviews for their continuing donations. It is very much appreciated and helps Prattle World keep on turning. And if you ever find yourself in a position to help the podcast, please consider it. So yeah, it was an interesting one to compare.
I enjoyed it. I think I said to you, didn't I, when we had a chat before that, I was looking forward to this one because I've not done a comparison for ages. I love horror movies. I love Amicus. I love kind of this sort of horror genre and stuff. So I was really looking forward to it, and it didn't let me down.
Yeah, I enjoyed going back, and it's not often I go and look at kind of early British horror in like the 70s and 60s and stuff.
We should really do that, you know.
We need to do some Hammer at some point, I think. And maybe another one of these. Well, I'll because I think it'll be nice to talk about a couple of films as well that are close to your heart, near and dear. But thank you again, Dennis. This has been fun.
Thank you, Dan, as always. It's never a chore, always a pleasure.
No worries. Well, I'm sure we'll have more horror stories to fill our listeners' ears with in the future. So check us out sometime soon with more dirty deeds from Dirty Dennis.
Thanks, mate.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye. See you later.